How Powerful Narcissists Use Conspiracy Against You, Part 1. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor, providing you with an insightful series about the way that powerful narcissists are using conspiracy theories against you. There are many powerful narcissists around the planet. They get into positions as leaders of political parties, leaders of countries, dictators, generals in the army, tech supremos, captains of industry. They wield influence through having their hands on the reins of particular power, be it political, military, financial, sometimes all three. They, of course, like any narcissist, pursue the prime aims. Numerous of these powerful narcissists know exactly what they are, and they know precisely why they behave as they do. It isn't the case that every position of power is occupied by a narcissist, far from it, but there's plenty of narcissists in those positions, and we are overrepresented. Nevertheless, as part of the assertion of control over a populace, over an audience, over a community, over a particular group of consumers, these powerful narcissists need, of course, means of repeatedly keeping those people in place. Military means are an obvious one, but fear requires intensive input with regard to personnel, money, machinery, etc., to keep a populace in fear through military means. As I've explained in the Ease of Control, fear of death is a means of asserting control over a person on an individual basis. But when it comes to these particular powerful narcissists, they have millions of people in their fuel matrices who all have to be controlled. A powerful narcissist doesn't know them on an individual basis, not at all. But these consumers, these purchasers, these worshippers, these voters, these members of the populace must still be controlled, and thus the narcissist looks for a manner to do so. Sometimes it is by utilizing the threat of military control over them, the threat of arrest and punishment and torture. In other instances, it's oodles of charm, bribery that is utilized. And there are lots of different ways that the powerful, those of my brethren, utilize means of asserting control over the populace. But one that has not been particularly well explored is the conspiracy theory. A conspiracy theory is an explanation for an event or situation that asserts the existence of a conspiracy by powerful and sinister groups, often political in motivation, when other explanations are actually far more probable. The term generally has a negative connotation, implying that the appeal of a conspiracy theory is based in prejudice, emotional conviction, or insufficient evidence. A conspiracy theory is different from a conspiracy. It refers to a hypothesized conspiracy with specific characteristics, including, but not limited to, opposition to the mainstream consensus among those who are qualified to evaluate its accuracy, such as scientists or historians. Conspiracy theories are generally designed to resist falsification and are reinforced by circular reasoning. Both evidence against the conspiracy and absence of evidence for it are misinterpreted as evidence of its truth, whereby the conspiracy becomes a matter of faith rather than something that can be proven or disproven. Studies have linked belief in conspiracy theories to distrust of authority and political cynicism. Some researchers suggest that conspiracist ideation, belief in conspiracy theories, actually may be psychologically harmful or pathological, and that it is correlated with lower analytical thinking, low intelligence, psychological projection, and paranoia. Psychologists usually attribute belief in conspiracy theories to a number of psychopathological conditions, such as insecure attachment, paranoia, schizotype, and narcissism. Now, a brief nod to the concept of why many narcissists are conspiracy theorists. And I'm not talking about their use in the way that I'm going to be in relation to the powerful, but it's often the case that certain individuals utilize conspiracy theories as a product of their narcissism. Why? Well, as you know, the narcissist needs the prime aims: control, fuel, character traits, and residual benefits. Control being the singularly most important aspect of that, wrapped around the fuel. Many narcissists don't have access to vast amounts of wealth, political power, military power, etc., that the powerful do. Therefore, how are they going to assert control? Well, you know about all of the sort of one-on-one or one-on-small group manipulations that I've done many videos about, and they are invariably effective. But how is Joe Bloggs going to deal with the threat to control that comes from his own government, or that comes from a particular powerful corporation? He doesn't have access to a private army to cause him to be able to march on some seat of political power to cause a coup d'etat. He's not in a position to buy up swathes of media to persuade people that it's the way that he sees it and not the way that the government is portraying it. And therefore, the way that the government behaves towards that individual is deemed by that narcissist as a threat to control. And a very useful device for nullifying that threat to control, of course, is to invalidate the government by suggesting that it's behaving in a nefarious way, and therefore to create a conspiracy theory, to suggest that there is some alternative reason, some shenanigans at a higher level that's taking place. And thus, what that narcissist is then able to do is say to other people, the government is doing this because, and it's a conspiracy theory, that they're explaining that they have a theory about the way that the government is behaving. And invariably, these days, as a consequence of the capacity for individuals to put out their ideas about these goings-on at a covert and nefarious level within governments, they are able to place this on the internet and thus find similarly like-minded individuals who give credence to their ideas. Thus, what then happens is the narcissist experiences a threat to control posed by the presence of the government or a corporation, etc. Unable to do anything directly towards that organization because of lack of manpower, resource, etc., the narcissist then explains their theory to somebody else, perhaps in person, more often on the internet. That individual believes what that narcissist has to say. They might be a narcissist themselves, they might not be. Their agreement gives credence to the narcissist, and therefore they have a subconscious sense of indirect control over the government organization that they deemed to be threatening them. And thus, the conspiracy theory often finds itself being propagated by narcissists because of the innate paranoia of the narcissist and the fact that the narcissist needs that control and must nullify threats to control. A government telling an individual to do this, that they must not do that, giving explanations for certain things that have happened, will invariably threaten the sense of control of that person, with the consequence that they then must do something to nullify it. And one way would be to say, there's more to this than meets the eye. To suggest, well, actually, what's going on here isn't as it actually seems. The government is up to nefarious and spurious activity. And it isn't difficult to find somebody to agree with that. Indeed, people will go and find evidence that fits with their worldview, and therefore deem it to be confirmation that they are correct in what they are saying. Accordingly, This is what occurs. It isn't the sole preserve, of course, of narcissists. Many non-narcissists will engage in such theorizing. Historically, conspiracy theories have been closely linked to prejudice, propaganda, witch hunts, wars, and genocides. They are often strongly believed by the perpetrators of terrorist attacks, and they were used as justification by Timothy McVeigh and Anders Breivik, as well as by governments such as Nazi Germany, the Soviet Union, and Turkey. AIDS denialism by the government of South Africa, motivated by conspiracy theories, caused an estimated 330,000 deaths from AIDS. QAnon and denialism about the 2020 United States presidential election led to the January 6 United States Capitol attack, while belief in conspiracy theories about genetically modified foods led the government of Zambia to reject food aid during a famine, at a time when 3 million people in the country were suffering from hunger. Conspiracy theories have been viewed as a significant obstacle to improvements in public health, encouraging opposition to vaccination and water fluoridization, amongst others, and have been linked to outbreaks of vaccine-preventable diseases. Other effects of conspiracy theories include reduced trust in scientific evidence, radicalization, and ideological reinforcement of extremist groups, and negative consequences for the economy. Now, I know that there will be some of you who are listening who will be saying, but HG, they aren't conspiracy theories, and you're just believing the mainstream narrative. No. What I'm explaining to you is that there are diverse views, and that there are certain theories that are put forward that are viewed as conspiracies. You don't have to accept that's the case, but there are many people that do. And what I'm doing is explaining why such views come about, but also how the narcissists, the powerful ones, are able to use this as against you, how they're able to utilize conspiracy theories in a manner to cause problems for individuals. This isn't a debate about whether something is whether it is accurate or whether it is simply a conspiracy theory. It isn't a case of arguing about whether those who put forward these conspiracies are wrong or whether they're actually correct and it's the mainstream which is trying to cover it all up to hide their behaviours. That isn't the debate that's being had here. It is simply to recognise this, that there are certain theories that are put forward, that there are some people who believe in them, but there are many people that dismiss them. And there are many people that dismiss them based upon their analysis of certain evidence. And thus, that is why these theories become known as conspiracy theories. And what I want you to understand is how the narcissist, a powerful narcissist, uses that conspiracy theory against you. It is not, for anybody who's hard of understanding, a debate about whether these things concerning the Twin Towers disasters on 9/11, about whether it was a pandemic. It's not to debate any of those things. There are other places you can do that. So if you're going to start ranting and raving about saying, well, HG, there is evidence that supports that actually these things happened and you're just not seeing it, you're barking up the wrong tree. It is a fact that there are individuals that have an alternative view of the world and that their views are labelled as conspiracy theories. That is a fact. We can all agree that. Whether it's just because it's a conspiracy theory, whether it's right or wrong, that's not the debate here. What I'm demonstrating to you is how that is used against you, and how it's used against you by powerful narcissists. So join me in part 2 to understand more about how this is used against you.